Tanauan, Leyte is one of the eastern Visayas areas hardest hit by Typhoon Yolanda in 2019. It has significantly harmed many livelihoods in the food and manufacturing sectors and the agricultural industry. Unhusked rice or palay production, as well as other crops, was significantly impacted. Additionally, the typhoon destroyed irrigation worth 787.89 million pesos, livestock worth 817.62 million pesos, and fisheries worth 1.49 billion pesos in Eastern Visayas. Rice is the staple food in the Philippines, being more critical to the municipality's economy and to its lower-income residents. However, there are still a dearth of studies examining the rice production industry in Tanauan, Leyte in terms of its sustainability in the sector. Melina Gorgonia, Jubert Iloso, and Kayla Mercado chose to conduct a study on the Sustainability Index of Palay farming practices in Tanauan, Leyte because there is a minimum available data on the rice production industry's profile. Additionally, the researchers aim to evaluate the current state of the rice production industry in Tanauan, Leyte in terms of its profile, sustainability practices, and growth. The study will identify existing challenges and problems affecting the said industry.
The objective of the research is to study the relationship between sustainability and the growth of the industry, provided the industry profile of rice production in Tanauan, Leyte. To identify the industry profile of the rice production sector in the municipality. To determine how was the domestic sales of rice in the municipality. To determine how the sustainable palay farming practices of the farmers affects industry growth.
What is the significance of your study?
The primary objective of the study is to ascertain the relationship between the sustainable palay farming practices and the industry growth of rice production in the Tanauan, Leyte. The study aims to shed light on the socio-economic background and condition of the farmers and the industry growth of rice production in Tanauan, Leyte.
There is a positive relationship between the sustainable farming practices of the farmers in the municipality of Tanauan, Leyte and the practices that lead the palay farming industry towards growth. What is the study's scope and limitations?
The respondents of the study are sourced out from the 16 farmer associations identified by the Municipal Agriculture Office of the municipality. Respondents were also invited through these organizations. Also, farmers outside Tanauan, Leyte's jurisdiction were excluded from the study since it only focuses on the profiling of the industry in the aforementioned municipality. The study will not cover the profile, sustainability, and industry growth of the other existing industries of the municipality. Respondents are also limited upon the capacity of the researcher who was permitted to do the data collection. This limitation is brought by the compliance of institutional guidelines due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the enumerated limitations, the researchers believe that the findings of this study will have a positive impact on the agricultural industry.
What was the method used in the study?
This study is a mixed method approach. The embedded mixed method design is a procedure in which quantitative and qualitative data are collected concurrently.
And one type of data serves as a support for the other type of data. The embedded type of this design was chosen specifically because the study used one method of data collection as a primary source of data and the other as a supplement. Additionally, while the quantitative method is subjective in its treatment of data, the qualitative method provides deeper insights into the participants' perspectives, making the combination of the two methods extremely effective at comprehending the respondent situations.
This study was conducted in Tanauan, Leyte. It is a second-class municipality and one of the 7 towns that comprise the province of Leyte's first legislative district. It is located 18 kilometers from Tacloban City, the province's capital. The municipality is known for being a farming as well as a fishing community. Out of the 54 barangays, 44 of which are agricultural. From that 44 agricultural barangays, we have chosen 15 where the 16 farmers associations were located.
The respondents of the study were farmers from different farmers associations in the municipality of Tanauan, Leyte. The sample size n is equals to 32 was chosen from the 16 farmers associations registered in the municipal agricultural office because these associations represent the majority of Tanauan, Leyte farmers. Furthermore, the Sloven's formula is used to identify the 16 farmers associations participating in the study. An assisted survey questionnaire was created to collect data. An expert approved the questionnaires' reliability and validity.
How did you analyze the data?
We used Pearson product moment correlation while the qualitative data was categorized. The research data were presented in two formats, text and tabular. It was presented, analyzed, and interpreted using simple frequencies and percentages. The actual responses of the research respondents, as indicated in the interview schedule, served as the unit of analysis in this study. Some of the high responses in the local dialect were translated into English. The farmers' profiles were created using an analyzed spreadsheet. They were categorized and tabulated. For the answers to the follow-up questions, they were organized into categories. Similar responses were categorized, grouped, and linked to others.
Most of the parcels of land farmed by the respondents are rain-fed as the irrigation provided by the National Irrigation Administration or NIA doesn't reach their area.
It implies that only less than half of the farmlands avail the irrigation program from NIA.
Results show that all associations received seeds or binhi, while only 84.38% of them received fertilizers.
The equipment comes third with 68.75% of the associations receiving this, while only 50% received aggregation grants and 3.13% had a loan. The remaining 12.5% received subsidies such as for the canal clearing and road construction. It implies that in spite of the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, there are discrepancies in the distribution of subsidies for the rice farmers of the Tanauan, Leyte.
46.88% of the respondents believe that having other means of income is essential, such as having livestock, poultry, and gardening. It implies that the income these farmers got from planting rice to sustain the living expenses as farming palay alone is not that profitable anymore.
94.74% of the respondents were tenants of the lands that they are farming.
This implies that the feudal landlord-tenant relationship among farming lands is still existing in Tanauan, Leyte.
Farmers' source of financing for all of its sub-activities came from trade credit owing to suppliers.
It implies that the subsidies and benefits they got from the implementation of tarification law were not enough to finance every expense that needs to be financed in every process of rice production. It also implies that farmers in Tanauan, Leyte have little confidence in government loans.
There is a variety of equipments used by the respondents depending on what's available in their respective associations. In spite of that, there is still 13.04% who use carabao in their farming activities. This implies that even though equipment grants are coming from the government in lieu of the tarification law, it is still not enough for the needs of the associations in each barangay.
Government-released hybrid seeds are the most common seed planted by the farmers, and it also has the most number of domestic sales per kilo.
It implies that it is the most abundant product or variety of rice. This is especially true to farmers with irrigated land as hybrid requires more water and fertilizer.
The month of March is the peak season of rice and palay in Tanauan, Leyte because it has the most significant number sold of palay and rice in the area. On the other hand, the decline season is on the month of June.
The changes were both affected by the weather. It implies that during March, nearing the summer season, farmers produce more, while in June, when the rainy season starts to show, farmers produce less due to some natural calamities in the rice fields such as flooding, causing crops to turn to waste.
We also observed that farmers with irrigated lands have more harvest in the summer season and less in the rainy season, which is opposite to farmers with rain-fed lands. This implies that the harvest of farmers depends on the availability and absence of water.
prices of rice increase during the month of October and declines during the month of March as per the participants' response.
One of the main factors that affect the former is the decrease in supply, while the latter is the decrease in demand. It implies that the decrease in supply causes the price of rice to increase since the demand will increase, while when there is a decrease in demand, surplus could occur and the price decline will help solve it.
Among the three pillars of sustainability, the farmers of the different farmers associations in the Tanauan Leyte always practice activities under the social pillar. Second is environmental pillar, and third is the economic pillar.
It implies that activities under the social pillar are more sustainable than those in other pillars of sustainability.
The overall result for the sustainable practices under environment pillar is 3.18. This implies that farmers sometimes practice sustainable practices and that the sustainability index of the said pillar is 63.63%, which can be interpreted as somewhat sustainable.
The overall result for the sustainable practices under the economic pillar is 1.87.
This implies that farmers rarely practice sustainable practices under the economic pillar. The sustainability index of the said pillar is 37.40%, which can be interpreted as possibly quite unsustainable.
The overall result for the sustainable practices under social pillar is 4.25.
This implies that farmers always practice sustainable practices under the social pillar. The sustainability index of the said pillar is 84.90%, which can be interpreted as quite unsustainable.
Farmers in the municipality believes that the government lacks support in their operations in their respective associations. It implies that the government support given is not enough in quantity, frequency, and consistency.
Respondents believe that they have alternative sources of capital.
However, they are not confident in seeking financial loans from banks and big creditors. It implies that farmers have poor banking and loan literacy. Additionally, it implies that bank requirements for farmers are not well crafted to their capacity.
Farmers can quickly identify and look for talented workers that will work for them and with them.
It implies that since farmers know what skills they need for a farm helper, they can easily find who to hire and easily demonstrate how things work.
Farmers have an in-place distribution channel where they can market their harvested palay. It implies that farmers need not go anymore and spend a lot more in marketing their rice produce since they already have an in-place distribution channel where they can sell all their harvest.
There is a negative correlation between the sustainable palay farming practices of the farmers and the industry growth of the palay farming industry in the municipality of Tanauan.
It implies that although sustainable practices are declining for farmers, industry growth is still continuous. The majority of the farmers said they will continue to produce rice since it is the only way they know to make a living.
Based on the conclusions
And findings of the study,
The following recommendations were drawn.
farmers in every association are all recipients of the government subsidies under the tarification law. Based on the interview with the farmers, not all of them were able to receive equal subsidies, especially those barangays that even usual cars or tricycles cannot enter. So it is recommended that the department or organizations assigned to distribute the subsidies of the farmers must reassess the process of the distribution of subsidies and must do systematic monitoring of subsidy distribution. This is to ensure that all the recipients will be able to receive the subsidies and grants that the government has allotted for them and their organizations, such as making sure all farmers are registered as beneficiaries and that all listed ones receive the right amount of subsidies.
In spite of the existence of the agrarian reform in the Philippines, 94.74% of the lands farmed by the respondents are rented. This paper states that there should be a reassessment of the distribution of the farming lands of Tanauan Leyte.
During the dry season, lands without irrigation have difficulties in producing crops. That's why, to ensure the economic sustainability and the good rice production in the municipality, we recommend that the national and local government create more opportunities to sustain irrigation. It will help farmers to ensure that their rice fields will not experience drought during the summer season.
Economic sustainability has the lowest sustainability index. It is then recommended that the LGU must expedite more programs crafted to the needs of the farmers, such as introduction of alternative sources of income.
Farmers are found hesitant in seeking financial loans from government banks and formal creditors. It is then recommended that there should be policies that aim to improve farmers' access to credit based on farmers' preferences and needs.
The equipment and fertilizers used by the farmers are generally provided by the government. These too contribute largely to the environmental impact of farming. So, in order to improve the sustainability index of the environment pillar, sustainability should be considered on the subsidies given to farmers, such as choosing a solar-powered equipment and organic fertilizers, as well as conducting an effective information drive to encourage farmers to be sustainable.